Yes, here we are. It is week 11 of Football Friday presented by Wolf Spreads. We are officially less than a week away from Thanksgiving, guys, and that means that we're going to hit another checkpoint here in the NFL season, as now we are more than halfway through, 150 games picked heading into week 11, 122 to go here in the regular season, and we come off a week where we had a record 6 game-winning field goals as time expired. So really, games that we thought were not going to be that great on paper actually turned out to be great. But we'll see if we can do that again here for week 11. But are you guys all ready to do this thing?
Yeah. Before we do that, obviously presented by Wolf Spreads, you're looking to get involved in the action while rooting for your favorite team. By the way, I think we've all enjoyed this app so far. I think we are having fun with the app. I know it's not real money. I know it's not DraftKings. I know it's not FanDuel, but we're having a lot of fun, and it basically is allowing us to be in a friend group and not have to worry about taking each other's money. But have you ever had a friendly debate on who pick up for more games correctly? Does all this talk about parlays, lines, overs, and unders make your head spin, and you want to learn more about the sports betting hoopla? Gamble with us and come check out Wolf Spreads. We're running a sports betting competition completely free on the Wolf Spreads app. Here's how it works. Everybody gets 2,000 fantasy dollars. That's fake money to bet on NFL games with whoever can profit most with their 2K bankroll wins. Now, if you're not an NFL fan, don't worry. Wolf Spreads has competitions available for the NBA, MLB, NHL, college football, and basketball. And maybe I heard MMA. Maybe. Wink, wink. Put fantasy dollars on the over-under, the money line, or the spreads, competing for bragging rights with your fellow players while having additional fun watching sports, and not risk losing your house in the process. Wolf Spreads, sports betting for friends who love the action.
Yeah,
let's go.
We had action last week, and I'll tell you what, we all did pretty well, I think, in Wolf Spreads. I actually ended up with a $1,300 profit last week, and I still finished in third place there in Wolf Spreads. But I will take how I'm doing here in terms of our ETP picks competition, because in terms of our standings here as we start week 11, I have taken the lead here with 192 points. Tom is in second with 190. Nick D is at 187. Zan at 184. Ben 182. Paul's got 178, and Nick with 174. But Nick's red hot right now. He went 9-4-1 last week for 21 points. So let's see if we all can have another winning week here for week 11 in the National Football League. We get it rolling with a Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi special on Fox. Nick DiMartino. It is the Dallas Cowboys heading to Bank of America Stadium to take on Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. And the Cowboys are laying 10.5 on the road.
Normally, I would not take a road team minus 10.5, but the talent difference. I mean, the Cowboys are one of the best teams in the NFL, and the Panthers are awful. They're probably the first or second worst team in the NFL right now. So Dallas, I think Dallas blows them out.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas is averaging 33.7 points per game against opponents with a losing record this season. And against all opponents, the defense is allowing 18.3 a game. Bryce Young is struggling. You know, he was outplayed by a drafted rookie last Thursday. The defense is struggling. They're not running the football well. Frank Reich is taking back play calling duties from offensive coordinator Thomas Brown after just 3 games. And yes, Dak is playing great. You know, he deserves his due. It's not going to be pretty there at Bank of America, or maybe we should just say AT&T Stadium East. I'm going to lay the 10.5 on the road here with Dallas in game 1 on Sunday, Zan.
Yeah, I mean, this game is a pretty easy pick. This is a total NFC mismatch. Dallas is playing for a top 3 seed. The Panthers are tanking for a top draft pick. This pick is pretty easy. I'm picking the Cowboys minus 10.5. They're going to run away with ease and probably win this game. I would say 38-13. I'm not going to go as far as saying my lock of the week just because the NFL is weird and you always have these games that sneak up on you, but I can confidently say that I think Dallas is going to cover and it's not going to be much of a problem.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I'm going to go Dallas here. The Panthers, of course, have been a really hard watch this year. Frank Reich's getting a lot of heat for sure this season. And outside of Adam Thielen, the offense for the Panthers has been very erratic. I mean, there really hasn't been a lot of guys outside of Adam Thielen, to me, that have stepped up, and their offensive line's a mess. Cowboys, I think, are going to be able to balance offensively and defensively. Give me the 10.5 for the Cowboys to cover.
Yeah, this game is not great. Dallas is probably one of the better teams. I won't go as far and say they're the best team in the NFL. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I think that, and I think we got to calm down on the Dak train a little bit. Like everyone is saying, Dak is like the best quarterback in the league. So they're going to win this game by
against the lesser teams. Sorry,
that's my point.
The lesser teams, but then when he look at San Fran, for instance, on the road Sunday Night Football, and then against Philly on the road, prime time, and he fails. That's typical.
That was the point. Ben made the exact point I was going to make. So yeah, they'll win this game because the Panthers are a terrible team. Take them.
But by the way, I don't know if you know about this, but apparently, like David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, wanted to draft Bryce Young because he ordered scallops. I don't know if you told me that.
I saw that. Yes, I did see that.
That's like crazy. That kind of sounds like something from Seinfeld. Like,
yeah, it does.
Just don't order the soup.
No wonder why their season's been a mess.
Well, Bryce has been struggling, but you can't put all the blame just on him, though. There's a myriad of factors there in Carolina. And I'll say this. I think Frank Reich's going to be one and done down there in Carolina after this season.
I think
it almost reminds me of what Trevor Lawrence went through in his rookie season where, once they got rid of Urban Meyer, that's when he started to take off.
But you know what? They could have gotten C.J. Stroud, and the owner wanted Bryce Young.
And he wanted scallops.
Apparently, what?
And he wanted scallops.
Yeah, he wanted. Well, apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but from what I heard, Frank Reich wanted C.J. Stroud.
But wait a minute. Who's going to win out there, the coach or the owner?
The owner, but what I'm saying is that the owner is the one at fault if he's the one who said we need to get Bryce
absolutely. Young. He got this pick wrong. I think C.J. Stroud has a better body of work.
Too. It would be absurd for the owner to then fire Frank Reich when, he was the one who was wrong. Not saying an owner wouldn't do that. I'm just saying it would make him look really bad.
Right.
Yeah.
It's looking like that right now, but let's see over the course of time if that does work out in this one. All right, let's big AFC North matchup here, guys. We got Iron Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn on it on CBS as Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers at 6-3 head to Cleveland to take on the 6-3 Cleveland Browns with no Deshaun Watson, and it will not be PJ Walker. It'll be Dorian Thompson-Robinson for the Browns there. And Cleveland is laying a point at home in this one. This is a tough one to decide here because it's pretty much a pick-em game, but I'm going to take the Browns because I'm going to go with what they've done all season, and that is run the ball, control the clock, play lockdown defense. And they're 6-3 because they rank among the best in all three of these areas, while the Steelers have issues on offense and they have issues with stopping the run. One of the things I think I will say is this will probably be one of the quicker games, if not the quickest game on Sunday. So I'm going to take DTR and the Browns at home, Zan.
I have to completely disagree with you there. I think this line is absolutely stupid. No Deshaun Watson, no Nick Chubb. Probably the biggest Cleveland Browns divisional game in several years. It just smells disaster to me. I like the way Kenny Pickett's been playing as of late. They got a huge win all ugly against the Packers. And it seems like Pittsburgh is clicking at the right time minus the Jacksonville game. And it seems to me that they're starting to really play complementary football and the football that Mike Tomlin likes to play, where it doesn't have to be the cleanest game in the world. It can be the ugliest game in the world, and Pittsburgh usually comes out on top. And I just feel like, given the history of this rivalry in the last several years and the theatrics of the Cleveland organization, which has been subpar at best, give me Pittsburgh plus 1 year to win in a pretty close game. I'm going to go 27-23 in Cleveland in a game that I think will live up to the hype and more for sure.
Oh, and you have some points being scored in this game. I like it.
Yeah.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah. This is obviously an AFC North type of game where the AFC North could be potentially the best division in football in terms of the AFC specifically. I mean, every team specifically is over 500. The Steelers, of course, obviously have a very good defense. The Browns, of course, too. But I'm going to go with the Steelers upset at +1 because I don't really know how to trust that Browns quarterback situation right now. Kenny Pickett, obviously, like Zain, you mentioned, I think he's been kind of up and down. I think they've really kind of won with bad quarterback play on the other side as of late. Will Levis, obviously, interception. Jordan Love, interception. last couple of weeks here. But I think it's going to come down to who makes the mistake at quarterback. And if I had to, of course, choose, I'd probably pick that the Browns will probably have an interception at the end, and the Steelers will be able to take advantage of that to win. So give me the Steelers to upset at +1.
Nick Morgasen, what do you have?
I mean, I originally was going to take the Browns. Then I did a lot of thinking on this game. I don't understand why they're not starting P.J. Walker. P.J. Walker has actually looked good at the quarterback position when filling in for Deshaun. He had a great game against San Francisco. I mean, I don't understand why you're not going that road. And I don't know. Just I feel like like Zan said, the Steelers have actually played good football minus that one game against Jacksonville. Yeah, I mean, they played some really good football. The Browns have a really good defense, but Johnny, I said this to you on ETV when you were filling in this week. What do the Browns look like now without Deshaun Watson? The Jets. They look like the Jets without Deshaun Watson. They are similar teams now. They both have good defenses, but no offense to show. So I think in this regard, defense is great, but I just think the Steelers are a little bit better. I think they'll win by a field goal. Give me the Steelers +1.
And Nick D, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can't trust the quarterback situation with DTR. I mean, they lost to with them. They got killed by the Ravens. They lost to the Seahawks, and he's been horrible. I mean, he hasn't. I mean, I'm not gonna. He was very good in college. I enjoyed watching him a lot in college. But how can I trust the Browns to actually pull this off? And the Steelers have, for the most part, been a good team. I mean, they've beaten pretty much every halfway decent team. They had a few bad games, the Jaguars and the Niners, but for the most part, they've been pretty good. I can't, like, every sort of decent team that you put in front of them, they've been able to beat. And I mean, how can I trust a team like the Browns right now with their third string quarterback, basically?
Yeah, I don't even know.
I really just can't trust them.
That's fair. What I do trust though is their defense. I don't even think DTR is going to need to make that many throws. You know, that's why I think
the point though. If your quarterback's not, it's hardly going to make any throws. How do you expect to win a game?
I think it's going to be their defense. Their defense might be the offense, and I think that's what you see in the over-unders. You know what the over-under in this game is?
I just looked it up myself.
It's 33.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised when.
I would probably take the over.
You like this? This is Big Ten West in the NFL.
I'll take the under.
Well,
this is Rutgers, Iowa.
PJ Walker is
I'm a Jet fan. I can tell you, you cannot rely on only your defense.
That's a good point.
You need to have a lot more. People say defense wins championships. You need both. You need defense and offense. You need a heart and a liver to live. You know, it
makes it's
a good point.
Survive in the short term, because let's also remember the Steelers are 6-3, but they still have a minus point differential. They've been outgained in every game. It's both of these teams. The fact that they're 6-3 might actually be very, very crazy. This might be a very cool defensive game, though, there in the AFC North, especially coupled with the Thursday night game that we had between the Ravens and the Bengals.
By the way, how about the Browns trading away their entire future for a guy who's not even playing?
Oh yeah, I mean we could spend the entire rest of the show
his arm might as well get amputated with the way he's like with his injuries. Like, it's ridiculous.
By the way, like, just the amount of, I think Nick D, or you might have said it, the amount of GIFs and memes that are going around about Deshaun Watson, where they get a massage, well, the injury will go away. Oh, was it Liam who said it? Oh, well,
they're very fun.
It's ridiculous, but it's funny too. But all right, let's move on.
Zan, it's an Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink special on Fox as your Chicago Bears, with what looks like is going to be Justin Fields back under center, head to Ford Field to take on Jared Goff and the Lions. And those Detroit Lions are laying 7.5.
Well, Justin Fields needs to show me something over the final month and a half of the season. Otherwise, heads are going to continue to roll in Chicago. And this is just a really bad matchup to come back from. I mean, Detroit's one of the hottest teams in the NFC. They went into a tough environment in SoFi Stadium last week and got a huge win. And of course, the Bears beat a lowly Panthers team. This isn't one of these just traditional knockdown, drag-out NFC North slugfest where I could very well see this game being a close game, but plain and simple, the Detroit Lions are the better team. The Bears might put up a fight for about a half or so. I expect DJ Moore to be involved. I expect Roshan Johnson to maybe find the end zone for a touchdown this week. I hope and think that if the Bears want to have any chance to win this week, he's gonna have to go off. But overall, I just don't see a lot of hope. I just think Detroit's the better team, and this is simply not necessarily a business trip for Detroit because they're home, but this is one of these games that they just need to get out of the way. So give me Detroit to barely cover. Give me Detroit to actually win this game by 10. We're going to go 24-14 over the Bears.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I think that this is pretty much a game that the Lions will probably have a lot of control of. This Bears team is an absolute mess. Of course, they're in a situation where they're in a top 5 pick situation via the draft. Justin Fields, of course, coming back, of course, is good, I think, for the league, but you don't know specifically how he's going to be able to throw and grip the football. He's just coming back from a thumb injury, which is obviously very tough to kind of see how you're going to be, especially going into Detroit, a very good defense, and they play really well at home, as they've been proven pretty much. Like, they've been scoring like the mid to high 20s like every time they play at home. So I'm going to trust them here. Give me the Lions here at 7.5.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty simple game. The Lions play good football this year. Their situation has been good. Have they been a little up and downish as of late? Yes, but Justin Fields is just coming back. There's going to be rust. He's been out for how many games? 4 or 5 games. I also don't like Justin Fields as a quarterback. Call me crazy. I just do not like the way he plays the game. And
I don't think anybody's calling you crazy.
but like Zan, I'll take yours one step further. I think he's going to be out after this year. I think that they're going to give up on Justin Fields after this year because he's had more than enough time to figure this out, and they just have not. And I think they're going to go back to the drawing board, and they're going to get one of those quarterbacks at the top of the draft.
I don't think they can. Or realistically, with this contract situation, I thought he was here in Chicago for at least another season. Am I wrong about that? I don't think he can.
I can check that, but
I don't think he can leave realistically.
I mean, I'll look it up.
There's a very good chance. The more and more I see it, I think that there's been rumblings the last couple of years, and in a very high quarterback draft class, I think that there's going to be some teams that are going to whiff on missing some guys because, there's just a lot of quarterbacks out there that Kyler Murray, Justin Fields will probably get some trade calls. And I know that for Kyler, that contract is probably really tough to trade. But for Fields, I don't know. I can maybe see him going to the Falcons because I'm not a big believer in Desmond Ridder. He played down south for college, for at least a little bit of his time there, Georgia. So I could see the fit there. I'd have to kind of think of some other teams, but
his number is not big. His number is not big. He's got 1.187 million. It's really not that much. So if they really want to get out from under that, they could. But long story short, take the money. This is going to be an easy game for the Lions.
Nick D, what do you got?
Oh, the Lions, easily. First of all, they score a lot of points. Justin Fields is not completely healthy. Not even when he was healthy, I wouldn't trust him, but especially now that he's not healthy. And the Lions they're winning big in these home games. They're winning they played 4 home games. They're 3-1. All 3 of those wins were by double digits. So the Lions should be able to blow this team out. The Bears look really bad. Easily take the Lions.
Yeah, I'm a lot more comfortable to take Detroit here because this line was as high as 9.5 as late as Wednesday morning and has dropped to where it is now.
That's surprising.
Is that because of the Lions' defense as of late, the return of Justin Fields, or a combination of both? That would be why. I wonder why this would drop 2 points in the matter of 2 days.
I'd probably say Fields, just the presence of him. But
no one has.
It was just a bunch of people betting against the Lions.
Yeah, and I think that's a mistake to do so. I'm going to pretty much echo what Ben and Nick Morgasen said, that Fields is definitely better than Bajan, but with that thumb, and he's even said that his thumb is not 100%. Now, he might be right because he's indoors in this one, but let's see what happens when he goes outdoors back to Chicago this time of the year now in the cold weather. But the thing is, even with Fields being back, the Bears just don't have anything to contend with this high-powered Detroit offense at home or stop that offense on defense. So I'm going to take the Lions to win their 7th straight NFC North matchup and cover the 12th straight NFC North game here at Ford Field. The one thing I'll mention real quick, though, with Fields is it also depends too if Matt Eberflus is going to be back there for Detroit, going to be back there for Chicago next year. If they don't bring him back, you know how new coaches want to have their own quarterback.
Look what happened with the Raiders and their situation. They took Garoppolo out.
That is a disaster because they've gone through 8 coaches in 12 years.
Oh no, but I'm just saying that proves your point. They got rid of their head coach, and now they sat Garoppolo and they put in Aiden O'Connell. Not that I'm saying that's the answer, but
with 2 top picks in the top 5 right now, as of right now, I can't see how they don't go for a QB in the draft.
I think they also try to get Marvin Harrison too.
That's the guy I want, Ben. I want Marvin Harrison. We'll see. Ben, we'll go to you here. Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, Laura Oakman special on the NFL on Fox at Lambeau Field. We've got Justin Herbert in the Chargers and Jordan Love in the Packers, and the Chargers a field goal road favorite.
Yeah, obviously playing in Green Bay is, especially when it gets colder out, they're just brings some very different elements, I'd say, in terms of the game itself. I'm gonna go Packers here, upset. I think that they're 3-6, but they've been close in a lot of these games in the last couple of weeks. I feel like Jordan Love is kind of starting to play a little bit better. The Chargers' passing defense hasn't been great, so I'm going to take my chance. I don't like the pick here, but I just have that feel that the Packers are going to find a way to pull this game out. And the Chargers coaching, especially at the end of games, I still don't have a lot of trust in. So, give me the Packers here at +3.
What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite. I actually think the Chargers are going to win this game. Herbert and Eckler have shown a little bit of promise over the last couple of weeks. The Packers lost a terrible game last week. They should have won that game against the Steelers last week and totally just blew it away. The Chargers, when they are on all cylinders, they are a competitive playoff team. But that's when they're on all cylinders. You don't know which team you're going to get every week. You don't know which Justin Herbert you're going to get every week. Are you going to get the guy that throws 300? I think I've said this quite a few times over the last couple of weeks. Are you going to get the 300-yard guy, or are you going to get the 110-yard guy that throws 2 picks? So I also don't like Jordan Love. I've been on the record on that a million times. I think the Packers are going to have to do a long, hard look at Jordan Love in the offseason. But I like the Chargers in this matchup, even on the road in Lambeau.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the Chargers are 4-5, but they're probably the best 4-5 team I've ever seen. That's why I think the whole Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are thing, people like to cite it, but it's complete bullshit. You are not. You're a lot more than just your record. The Chargers are 4-5. They have 5 losses, but 4 out of those 5 were against the best teams in the NFL. Only one of them was a bad loss against the Titans, and that was close. And the Titans were looking good early in the season. They were the Titans are sort of a wild card team. It's not even like they're a horrible team, at least not at the time. The Chargers, I think they're very underrated. It is true that they make a lot of really, Brandon Staley makes a lot of awful decisions in close games. But what you have to, and all of that is a skill in and of itself. But what you have to remember is that is against teams that are on the same level as them. The Packers are not. The Packers are 3-5 or 3-6. They're
3-6.
3-6. Okay.
3-6.
The Packers are 3-6 in the season. Jordan Love, nobody seems to have any faith in him. And the Chargers, don't forget, they can score a lot of points. They can put up 35, 40 points consistently. So I would agree that because they make a lot of bad decisions, they're more likely to lose, but you can't, but you have to look at it. You have to compare them to a team that is on the same skill level as them. And the Packers are just not.
Yeah. So you're taking them to cover.
Yes, easily.
Yeah.
We got a West Coast team coming to play an early window game. Could be in trouble.
Oh no! That's another one I can't stand.
Not. I don't think that doesn't mean as much as in years past. It really started with the COVID year back in 2020. What does give Brandon Staley's team trouble though are threatening offenses, and the Packers though don't have a threatening offense.
Okay, I was going to say.
How are you defining it?
Ben sold them well. I got to tell you, he's given them a chance, and he sold them well. But the last time Green Bay topped 20 points, guys, was 2 months ago. I'm gonna lay the 3 here with the Chargers on the road at Lambeau. Dan.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of these games, kind of like Nick D. He was alluding to the Chargers should win this game going away. Would you guys not agree wholeheartedly that Jordan Love is a top three worst quarterback in the entire NFC? I mean, this guy cannot manage a game to save his life, and I understand he's taking over for the incomparable Aaron Rodgers, who kept the Packers steady for over a decade, but that's just too much pressure to put on a young quarterback. And honestly, I think the Chargers are getting disrespected because this Chargers team could very much realistically be 6-3, but they aren't. And I think they're going to take out their frustration on another NFC opponent, knowing that the Chargers probably outplayed the Lions last week, but still lost. I think that Herbert has a huge game, first 3 touchdowns, and I think Austin Eckler scored one of his own. So give me the Chargers to win this game. I would say about 38-21.
Wow.
I think they go into Green Bay and they really, really, really take care of business and don't let their foot off the gas the second they take the lead. So I like the Chargers.
There we go. Tom McCarthy, James Lofton, Jay Feely, Tiffany Blackman special on the NFL on CBS. Nick Morgasen, it is Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals taking on CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans, and the Texans are laying 5.
By the way, just for the record's sake, I think most of us took Cardinals +2 last week, right?
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken. Like we really got we got the Cardinals, like we really nailed that game last week, if I'm not mistaken.
That was one of the few losses that Tom had. He was the lone wolf in that one, and it did not work out. But everybody else did take Arizona +2.
But
what about
I don't know. You don't know which. So is Pierce back? Is Nico Collins back? Are they back on the field and healthy? I don't know. That's kind of mixing with my decision.
Some other guys step up though. Noah Brown is one of the best receivers with yards after the catch this year. Their running game, I think, Singletary had a big game last week. So, I mean, with CJ right now, I mean, I just think he's playing at a really high level that no matter who's right now around him, he's just getting guys involved.
Yeah, CJ Stroud, by the way.
Agree.
But I think CJ Stroud, I wouldn't say he will be permanently in the discussion, but we need to talk about him in the MVP discussion, the way that he is playing right now. And he's not going to win. Let me put that out there first and foremost. Not going to win.
Not many first years do.
But he's going to be in that discussion the way I was telling Johnny, that game, that 470-yard game, and 5 touchdowns, I think. I forgot who was that game against?
That was the Bucks. Which
was an incredible game to watch him play. Like, he was just on the money with almost every throw in that game. Now, Cardinals have been playing good football. Obviously, they're not the same team. I'm taking the Texans to cover. I just think Stroud is playing out of his mind football right now.
Nick D?
I disagree. I'm going with the Cardinals. It's not an anti-Stroud. I like Stroud. It's not about Stroud. It's just that the Texans are a very unpredictable team, and they're coming off a really big win. And the Cardinals are, I would say, they're one of the worst teams in the league. But now that Kyler Murray is active, and we haven't seen much of him this year, but you can't deny that they're much better off with Kyler Murray than they were with any other quarterback earlier 100%. In the season. I mean, that's not even really debatable as much as we want to criticize Kyler Murray. So I don't trust giving the 5 points. I think it's going to be close. And the Texans, they're just an unpredictable. They're a lot better than we expected them to be. And I give them a lot of credit, but they are still a very unpredictable up and down team. And you don't really know what you're going to get. And coming off a big win like that, I mean, it's kind of hard. I feel like they're a little bit due for a letdown. But either way, that's not really my main point. My main point is I think the spread is just too big.
I 1,000% agree with Nick. Nick D, that is. Hey,
you had a 50-50 chance there.
You did. No, Nick D, I think pretty much said it. I'm absolutely taking the points here with the Cardinals. First off, this is to me is an underrated game on Sunday, and also a very interesting line, and it's telling me something. And I don't know, maybe if I'm falling into the trap by doing this, but I'm also looking at the boost that Kyler Murray gave Arizona last week. This game also screams flat spot for the Texans because, I mean, you come off that emotional win last week. They've got, next week they've got the Jaguars. So this could be that little flat spot there for for Houston. And the Cardinals, we've echoed this point a lot on Football Friday. More often than not this year, they have been in these games. So I even see them keeping this like within a field goal, maybe even less than that. I think it gets to be very, very exciting, very close. I even wouldn't be surprised they win this game outright. But at the bare minimum, I'm absolutely grabbing the points here with the Cardinals in Houston, Zan.
Yeah, I mean, with the way Kyler Murray played last week, Arizona looked like a totally different team. And not to play hypotheticals, but just imagine what this Cardinals team would be right now if he would have stayed 100% healthy. With that said, this is going to be a quarterback duel. A lot of points are going to be scored here. I just love this matchup holistically, and like you and Nick D have alluded to, I do think this could very well be a letdown spot for the Texans because there's a good chance they could be looking past this game, considering that they have a key must-win divisional game the following week. So yeah, give me the Cardinals +5. Let's have Kyler Murray have a huge game, but there's going to be a plot twist in my pick because I love the Cardinals +5. However, I don't think they pull off the upset in Houston, so I think Houston wins the game, but Arizona covers the spread.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, you guys convinced me. I'm going to take the points for the Cardinals. I think really that Kyler Murray being back there, I think really opens up a lot. Specifically, he's a running type of quarterback, but he can air it out too. And the Texans' defense, I think, has been very vulnerable here and there. And I think that CJ's playing good enough football that I think that they'll win the game. But I think that the Cardinals are going to make it close because I don't think that the Texans are going to. I feel like they're due for a letdown, but they'll find a way to win this game. So give me the Texans, but the Cardinals take the points.
Are we overreacting to Kyler Murray after 1 week? Is that what I'm hearing here?
No. I don't think we're overreacting to Kyler Murray. I don't think any of us are saying he's the next Peyton Manning. I think what we're saying is the Cardinals are in a much better position than they were before with Kyler Murray.
And also,
by the way, let's not pretend how good they were 2 years ago in the regular season with Kyler Murray.
They started 7-0 2 years ago, by the way, before so it's not that much of a reach. And also, I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I don't think the four of us also took Cardinals to win this game outright. I think we're all grabbing the 5 with Arizona. This game to me screams 25-23 Houston if they do win this game.
Me too, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
I think this game gets to be very, very close, and I think Houston's in for a letdown spot. And remember, we're only 3 weeks removed from the Texans losing 15-13 to the Panthers.
Yeah, okay. You can't trust the Texans. Every week with the Texans, it's like, what's in this box? You don't know what team you're getting.
And I tell you what, if Tyler Boyd makes that catch in the end zone, they maybe don't even win against Cincinnati last week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
you don't know.
We'll see. I mean, it's definitely been a great story. I mean, they do have the rookie of the year probably. They have the head coach of the year right now down there, and they possibly have an MVP as well there in Houston. It's a Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, Amanda Renner special on the NFL and CBS. Speaking of the AFC South, Ben, it is Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans taking on Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jaguars are laying a touchdown at home.
This spread is absolutely perfect. The Titans haven't been good all year this year. I know Will Levis, of course, is giving them something. But the Jaguars, the only thing that obviously can concern me is them essentially at home this year have not been great. Their best home field has been overseas this year. So, but I think that they're due for a really good one. The Titans don't really stop the run that well. I think Trevor Lawrence bounces back after a really bad week last week against the San Francisco 49ers, who absolutely just made a statement last week that they are back to terms of who they are. But yeah, give me the Jags to take -7 here. I'm just not a big believer that the Titans are going to go in and win this game. The Jaguars usually have pretty good success against the Titans in the past too. So give me the Jags to take the 7 here in this one.
Nick Morgasen.
I don't know. The Jaguars kind of scared me last week, the way they got absolutely beat to a pulp by the Niners. I mean, was anyone else concerned about the way they played, or am I the only one?
They were both coming off of a bye week, and it just was kind of one of those games that the 49ers really just kind of had it from the start. And I don't think that the Jaguars are a bad team. I just think specifically that it was just one of those weeks that was just wasn't anything going for them.
I would ask that question again in a couple of weeks, Nick. That's I think the best way to put it. I would give that question. I would answer that question probably next week if they actually don't win this game.
so, because the situation in Tennessee is a giant question mark. I think it'll be a barely cover, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was very close in the end, and then it became a 7-point victory at the end. Because I don't know, the Titans can surprise you from time to time, but I'll take a cover.
Nick D?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn, but I have to go with the Jaguars. I don't trust the Titans very much, even though they've been better with Will Levis. But the Jaguars are still a pretty good team. And I guess you're right, they're not great at home, but at the same time, they played really good teams. They played the Chiefs and the Niners at home. So I think you kind of have to take that into account. It is relevant information that they played two of the best teams two top 5 teams, which is why they lost at home. Yeah, I don't really trust the Titans very much. I would go with, I would say both of these teams are coming off bad losses, so I wouldn't use that for the Jaguars. But yeah, it's tough, but I'm going with the points -7.
You were hoping that you'd get a half a point on either side of that and make it a little bit easier, right?
I was hoping I could get like 6.5, which, by the way, in my pick'em pool, I think I do.
Yeah, but yes, I agree with you again. 6.5, it's easier. 7.5, I go with Tennessee. I'm laying them with the Jaguars here. Will Levis 2 straight underperforming weeks, and the worst thing possible is the fact that he has to play his 3rd straight game on the road here against a team that needs to bounce back in the worst way. Now, if you get a nice ground game from Derrick Henry, that would be nice, but against the Jaguar defense that's very good against the run, with the exception of last week, but I think that speaks more about San Francisco. That would help, but this is bounce back spot for Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson and the Jags to win this game, and by doing that, they will keep the Titans winless away from Nashville.
Like the Jaguars, they're 6-3, and 2 of those losses, like I said, were against really good teams. They only have 1 loss against a team that is okay, which is the Texans, and they're capable of being really good. So The Jaguars really aren't bad.
That's exactly right. Let's go to Zan.
Yeah, and this is another one of those games where it's a little bit of a mismatch, and truly, I just don't think the Will Levis experiment is working out in place of Ryan Tannehill, and I think this is one of those games that Trevor Lawrence just goes off. I think the Jaguars realized that last week was a super huge letdown spot against a very good San Francisco team, and they've had a whole week to prepare and think about the things that went wrong, and they know that the AFC South is their division to lose, and they want to try to protect the division as much as they can, and they know that they're simply a better team. And I might be a little biased since Travis Etienne's on my fantasy team, but I think this is another one of those games where Jacksonville shows out at home, and now, as we keep alluding to, the Houston Texans have played much better football over the last 4 to 5 weeks. So those 2 teams are going to end up probably beating each other up against common opponents. So given how critical this divisional game is, I think the Jaguars winning a cover. It'll be close for about a half or so, but I think the Jaguars pull away late. I'm going to say 27-17 is going to be the final score down there in Florida. So
there we go. Nick D, we've got Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins on CBS at Hard Rock Stadium as Antonio Pierce, Aiden O'Connell, and the Raiders head there and face Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. And the Dolphins are laying near 2 touchdowns at home.
Dolphins. The Dolphins the Raiders are not a good team. They barely beat the Jets last week. They're on a backup quarterback. The Dolphins are very good. They have a tremendous offense. Their defense isn't great, although it's serviceable, but that's all you really need to beat a team like the Raiders, a serviceable defense. Ultimately, I think the Dolphins are just going to score too much for the Raiders to be able to keep up. I think the Dolphins kill them.
We need a Miami Dolphins checklist this year, but I'll say that for another time. But let's just go through this real quick. The Dolphins were double-digit home favorites against the Giants and covered. The Dolphins were double-digit home favorites against the Panthers and covered. This should be no different. Coming off their bye week, they're playing an opponent who can't play shootout football. Those 2 games before were my locks of the week. And in fact, just like the Giants and the Panthers game, This is my lock of the week. I am taking the Dolphins laying the 13.5 here.
Wow.
35, let's be generous, 35-17 Dolphins over Antonio Pierce, Aiden O'Connell, and the Raiders, Zan.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Raiders are going to come back down to reality. I mean, beating the it's no offense to Nick Morgasen here, or who's sitting on my left-hand corner, but beating the Jets on national TV is nothing special at all. And given the heavyweight juggernaut of an offense that the Miami Dolphins is, I just think the Raiders defense has just been horrid against the pass all year. Is not going to be able to keep up with the elusivity of Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill, and I just think those guys are so good that they're probably going to end up scoring about 48 points. So I'm going to say the Dolphins win easily, they cover easily, and like Johnny, I'm actually taking Miami as my lock this week as well. So give me the Dolphins to cover, and give me the Dolphins as my bench lock. Every single time I pick Miami so far to do this, they haven't disappointed me. So.
Yeah. And they're not playing a superior defense. They're not playing on the road against a superior defense. So that's the Miami Dolphins checklist. Ben Kruse?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I pretty much agree with a lot of you guys. Miami's planning to get back Devin Achane, the running back there, and he is absolutely electric. So essentially, they should be at full-on weapons there between Achane, Mostert, Hill, and Waddle. And the Raiders, like you guys mentioned, they beat obviously Zach Wilson. In terms of the Jets, of course, like Aaron Rodgers, of course, but they faced Zach Wilson and Tommy DeVito the last 2 weeks. I mean, now you have to go against Tua, who of course is a top 10 quarterback in football and a very good quarterback at home. That being said, give me the 13.5 here. It's not going to be my luck, but I think it's going to be pretty much like a 38-17 type of game.
Oh, Ben, I'm disappointed in you. Nick Morgasen?
Yeah, well, I have another one, so.
I mean, yeah, so do I. This is not my lock either. But I have the Dolphins. This is not even a competition. I mean, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually think Tua is playing good football this year also. We all were down on Tua at the beginning of the year.
Tua's bad narrative was so stupid.
No, but I'm saying is I think people gave him a bad rap, and that was not
that's
fair.
what I'm saying.
And
he
now
he's the guys around him and a young coach, and he was injured. That's the biggest thing.
No, but but at the same time, I think he's just showing that he's a much better player than people were giving him credit for. He could throw the football. People said he could never throw the football. He's throwing 50, 60-yard passes down the field. Like, people were not expecting that at all. I mean, it helps to have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as your top two wide receivers, who are basically going to catch 95% of everything that he throws. But, and I like Ben said, Achane is back. Fastest guy on the field, I think, in the NFL. I think by time, him and Tyreek Hill had two of the faster sprint times. It's not a lock, but I will take cover.
Clean sweep there down at Hard Rock Stadium. Is Devon Achane back? I know he got cleared. He got the 21-day window. Is he back?
I'm pretty sure that he's coming back this week.
I heard he cleared.
I could be wrong, but he's really.
I know he got taken off IR in the 21-day window. I mean, you might be right, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think he can miss this game and it won't matter. But we'll clean sweep down there at Hard Rock Stadium. It's Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Shannon Spake on the NFL on Fox. Let's do a little bit of a rapid pick here, guys, as Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants take on the Washington Commanders and Sam Howell. The Commanders, they're an 8.5-point home favorite. And, one thing I take out of last week's Commander game for a second, Sam Howell's underrated. He's, as long as he doesn't take a sack, he surpassed 300 yards in each of the 3 outings with 8 total TDs and just 2 interceptions. I'm a Giants fan. We just don't have anything going for us right now. I know I spoke to a Commanders fan at work the other day that said that he doesn't like the Commanders in this game. I totally disagree. I think the Commanders win by at least 10 points, if not more. I will take the money with Washington here at FedEx Field.
Well, if there was any other quarterback but Tommy DeVito starting under center for the Giants, I would look the other way, but this game is too easy. I think that Sam Howell keeps rolling, and plain and simple, as you just alluded to, the Giants don't really have anything going for them, and even worse off, if it proved anything a week ago, the Giants clearly don't have an offensive line. So give me the Commanders in a really easy NFC East win. We're gonna go a final score 31-6 in
Sounds
Washington.
about right. What
Hey,
about
by the way, the combo there, that would be the 37, so it'd be right at the number.
the over-under 37? Yeah. What about you, Ben?
I think right now, if you're the Giants, you're essentially trying to lose out a lot of these games, and no other than going to take on Sam Howell, who's number 1 in passing yards this year, for that to happen. I think he's the most underrated quarterback in football. The biggest thing about the Commanders is just their coaching. If they actually got fairly decent coaching, they'd be in a lot better situation than they are right now. They kind of remind me, I'm not saying like the Chargers per se, because I think the Chargers are a better team than them, but they kind of have that over similar Charger feel to me, where they're kind of like always in these games specifically consistently, but it comes down to the end, and it's their coaching execution. But with that being said, give me the Commanders at -8.5, and that's my lock of the week. I don't trust the Giants to score consistently, and like last week, it was a 13.5, I think, against the Cowboys. I hit that one. I'm going to hit this one too. My hope. That's my lock of the week. So, yeah, give me the Commanders.
That was 17 last week, and you nailed it. What about you, Nick Morgasen? I don't even need to ask you. What do you got?
This game's going to be ugly, but I don't know. The one thing I will say is Sam Howell still gets sacked a bunch, and I still think that's going to play a factor. I'm not saying they're going to lose, but I think it's going to be a much closer game than people are saying, because Sam Howell, even though he threw for, 300-plus yards last week, he is a mystery box. You have no idea what you're going to get from him every week.
But he's been pretty consistent last 4 weeks, I'm going to say.
Right, but again, you could get 3 picks from him 1 week. You have no idea what you're going to get. So the Giants are a comedy of errors, like in the worst way possible.
You're taking Washington, Nick?
Oh, yeah, I'm taking Washington. I don't think this is going to be a contest. But again, the one factor will be if Howell stays on his feet. But yes, take the money.
And Nick D?
I totally disagree for a few reasons. First of all, this game feels too easy. If it feels too easy, it is. Another reason is the Commanders, you can never trust them. They tend to play up to their competition, but they also play down to their competition. And there's been more than a few times where they haven't failed to amaze me at how bad they've been. Just like they can keep it close with teams like the Eagles, they also keep it close with really bad teams. And one time, actually, they got blown out by the Bears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And people are talking about sacks, and that's true about the Giants with their very weak offensive line. Let's not forget that this season, the Commanders are right behind them in total sacks allowed at 47 compared to 54. So, I mean, the Commanders don't exactly have this great offensive line either. And this just, the Commanders, they haven't beaten anybody by a whole lot. I think the biggest margin of victory they had was against the Falcons, but for the most part against bad teams, they're not really doing what they should do. They're just one of those teams that plays up and down to their competition. This is a trap to me. This feels like a trap. I think the Commanders win, but I think they keep it within a touchdown. Giants.
Yeah. See,
wow.
If we had any sort of team, Nick, I would agree with you. But maybe they're talking about Jalen Hyatt and Kayvon Thibodeau possibly clearing concussion protocol for Sunday, and that would help, especially with the pass rush there for the Giants. But we just don't have anything. That's the problem. And yeah, we did one of our 2 wins is against the Commanders, but that was also a healthier team too.
Right. No.
I think you're right. I think it's possible though that they could keep it inside this number, and this number has actually been coming down too. But we will see. In fact, this line was at like 10 or 10.5 even, I think, earlier.
It was at like 10.5 when we started this week.
That's why I was surprised when I put these numbers in before we recorded that it was down.
Don't get me wrong. I don't trust Tommy DeVito, but let's not forget, and even though the Giants were blown out, they still were able to put up 17 points.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's not like they're putting up 0 points. Like, they could still do something.
Yeah. I mean, actually,
and the Commanders, they're just not consistent at all.
As not talented as the Giants are, they are not the worst offensive team in football. That is definitely for sure. Not. All right. Zan, it's Joe Davis, Darryl Moose Johnston, and Pam Oliver on the NFL on Fox. It is Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading to Levi Stadium to take on Brock Purdy and the 49ers. And the Niners are a 12-point home favorite.
This is going to be just a great game. Assuming that Baker Mayfield plays like his old self, it's going to be a fight for sure. I just think the San Francisco team is playing on a different level, and asking the Buccaneers to travel cross country, and I don't know what their record is in cross country games over the last several years, but knowing the trends with these NFL teams, having to fly across the country and getting acclimated to a time zone that's 3 hours behind them doesn't seem like very good news. And if were they ask me who's playing better football right now, I think Brock Purdy's playing better football than Baker Mayfield. So in this case, you have to simply take the better quarterback and the better defense here. Give me the 49ers minus 12 over to the Bucks, although I would expect this game to be very close in the first half before San Francisco eventually pulls away early to mid third quarter and into the fourth quarter. Okay, give me the 49ers to win. I would say 28 to 13. So they barely cover the number.
That'll work. Ben?
Yeah, I know the 49ers had a pretty good statement last week, against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I don't know. I mean, I don't see them blowing back-to-back type of game. I feel like the Bucs will kind of keep it close, at least for a good half. So I'm actually going to have the Bucs take the points. I think that they're going to find a way to take the points here in this one. Defensively, I don't think that they're that bad specifically. I just think that they're just a very up-and-down type team. I think that the Niners will probably win this one, within probably 10 points.
Nick Morgasen?
Wow. I was a little shocked by that. Yeah, I think the Niners are going to blow this game out. I think that they're fully healthy now. I think Purdy now has all his weapons. Debo is back healthy. And that just proved when they beat the Jaguars 34-3 this past week. The Jaguars are not a bad team. They just were blown out and not ready to play. And it just looked like the Niners were ready to go. The McCaffrey finally looked healthy. All the pieces are back in place. I think they're now in it for the long haul to make a run all the way into the playoffs. They're going to win this. I think this is going to be a blowout. This is also my lock of the week. Also, I think they're going to win.
Home favorite lock.
Yes, that's my first shocker of this week.
Yes, I have to tell you, I didn't think you had it in you to do that.
Don't. You'll be surprised what the second shocker is going to be. I'll just keep you at that.
Stay tuned. Nick D?
I completely disagree. I mean, the Bucs, they can actually. By the way, this is not a knock on the Niners at all, but the Bucs generally can keep these games close, and they're really not all that bad against good teams. I mean, I think that the Bucs they're an okay team, and I don't think they have any shot at actually winning the game outright. But I mean, 12 points is a lot to be giving, and the Bucs, I think they could at least keep it somewhat competitive. I can see them losing by maybe a touchdown to 10 points. I don't see this game being a blowout. I don't think there's a lot of teams right now that would blow out the Bucs. I don't think the Bucs. I don't think the Bucs are a somewhat okay team that they're not great, but I don't think anybody's really blowing them out. They're keeping it. They're just a sneaky team. I don't know what it is.
So it's up for me to break the tie in this one, and I guess Nick Morgasen, I'm going to give you a chance here to make up some ground because I'm in agreement with Ben and Nick D. This is an overreaction line to me that the 49ers are laying this many points against the Bucs. Now, look, the 49ers, they're a top 2 team in the NFC for sure, especially after trouncing Jacksonville last week. But just because they trounced Jacksonville shouldn't make them a 12-point favorite against a team like Tampa Bay, which can generate some offense. Now, granted, yes, Chase Young and Nick Bosa will likely wreak havoc. It's entirely possible Baker Mayfield will make at minimum one interception in this one. But Tampa's just too methodical of an offense to have too many red zone weapons, especially Mike Evans, to be shut down throughout. And also, if you want to go based off a history of against the spread, the Bucs are 3-0 against the spread in their last 3 as a double-digit underdog. So don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong here. I'm going to take the Niners to win, but I think it's a 7 to 10 point game here. Even the backdoor cover in the fourth quarter, it could be 30-16 in the fourth, and Tampa Bay scores to cover that number. So I'll take the points, but I will take the Niners to win this game.
Wait a minute. So what does that say about Baker? Is that you're saying that Trevor completely got destroyed? You're saying Baker could be more methodical and cover?
I think their offense, they have more red zone weapons than I mean, think about Jacksonville. They've got Christian Kirk, receiving core. I mean, they've got Travis Etienne running back wise. I mean, I know that Evan Ingram's done pretty well down there. But I think there's just more possible weapons. And overall defense-wise, I think Tampa's better than Jacksonville overall defensively. More pass defense-wise. That was the big thing. We spoke about it last week on Football Friday, how the pass defense for the Jaguars was going to be a big problem in that game, and that's exactly what happened. Tampa Bay's defense is better. I don't think there's any shot they win this, but I think even a 10-point game is definitely in the works here. So that's what I'm going to go with. But we're all going to be in agreement that the 49ers will win this game. But this is a good chance for Nick Morgasen to get some points here with the 49ers minus the 12. Yes, Nick, really quick.
By the way, Johnny, I just wanted to interrupt you for a second. I forgot to give my bench lock. I meant to give it to the Lions against the Bears.
Okay.
That's my lock. Minus 7.
There you go. Okay, I will put that in. So Nick D has the bench lock there with the Lions against the Bears from the early window. All right, Nick Morgasen, let's go to you here. A Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson special on the NFL and CBS as your New York Jets head to Buffalo to Orchard Park to take on Josh Allen and the beleaguered Buffalo Bills. And those Bills are laying a touchdown at home.
So first, I'll take a bow because I was completely right about that Raiders game, that they were going to beat the Jets and Zan too. Because I told you they had no shot beating. They were so incompetent that they were going to blow that game. But you're going to be shocked here, okay, for what this pick I'm going to make. I'm taking the Jets +7 and to win outright against the Bills.
Oh, an upset special. Wow. A full upset special for Nick. Okay.
Yes, and the reason it's because the Bills are a dysfunctional mess right now offensively. Josh Allen looks terrible. There's Stephon Diggs went on his Instagram stories and started taking Josh Allen apart. I think Trayvon Diggs' brother was also taking shots at the Bills. Like, this whole team is a mess. What?
Stephon Diggs' brother.
I mean, yeah, Stephon Diggs, excuse me. But they fired Ken Dorsey. That whole offense is a mess. The defense has a ton of injuries right now. They lost to Denver this past week, which was terrible. On a 12-man on the field penalty, they look dysfunctional. I can't believe I'm saying this. Jets +7 and a win outright for the Jets this week.
All right, Nick D, you're the other Jets fan. What do you think?
Oh, the Bills. I think they kill us. And this has, by the way, I agree with everything you said about the Bills. 100% of the things you said about the Bills, that they're dysfunctional. Josh Allen makes a lot of terrible mistakes, losing in a 12 men on the field and all that. I mean, they do remind me a lot of the Mets. They're like the Mets of football, basically. It seems like this. They were supposed to be really good, and they're 5-5. But what I will say is, let's not lose sight of how bad the Jets have looked within the past couple of weeks. How bad they were against the Chargers, how bad they were against the Raiders, how bad they were against the Giants, even though they ended up winning that game. I mean, like, this team is like, the Jets are just every bit as I mean, they're not as dysfunctional as the Bills right now, but they also don't have the talent that the Bills have. And not to mention the fact that the Bills lost to the Jets already. And the reason the Jets were able to win that game mainly was because of special teams. I mean, special teams basically won them that, and that's not going to continue to happen every week.
Let me ask you a question. So Denver's defense is, I wouldn't say they're great. You're telling me the Jets defense is probably the top 5. I think they're a much better defense. I think Josh Allen's been struggling against the rush. Like, so
Denver's defense, I think, stinks. But and I think the Jets defense is very good. But my comment is not so much about the defense; it's more about the offense. And
I agree with you on that front.
Yeah. And by the way, even against really good defenses, I still think like an elite offense like the Bills, they can still put up some points. Like, I mean, just mainly it's the talent gap and how bad the Jets have been. I mean, I know the Jets are still alive in the playoffs and they do technically have a chance, but I don't like, from the way this team is playing, I think they're one of the top 10, top 8 worst teams in the league right now.
I just think they could force more picks than Denver did. I think Denver forced 2.
I think that they can. You're right about all that, and I think all that is true. But the Bills, talent-wise, are still a much better team.
That's not a debate. That's not a debate. They're a better talented team. I just think they're more dysfunctional right now.
They are more dysfunctional right now, but I'd rather have a team. I think the talent gap certainly outweighs it.
Okay.
That's why. Yeah. So he's taking the money. That has to be why this line is as big as it is. When I looked at the numbers originally, I could not believe that Buffalo is actually a 7-point favorite, but it has to be the talent, especially on offense, because for all the Bills' struggles, they're actually still 8th in the league in scoring. And if we look at the Jets, we know how bad it is.
What about James Cook? People are forgetting James Cook fumbled the football how many times during that game? And they put him in the doghouse after the first fumble.
I'm starting to struggle. I don't know whose side I take in this one, because the thing is, Buffalo is still top 8 in scoring. The Jets, we know about their scoring woes. They've got 11 quarters without a touchdown, 36 offensive drives, 186 plays from scrimmage without scoring one. Oh, man.
Tougher than you thought, right?
Yeah, now it is. Now, the weather up there, I heard there might be some rain, which could slow, both teams down a little bit.
I think that would be in the Jets' favor defensively.
Yeah, but I don't know. Can Zach Wilson? Don't forget though, Zach Wilson is horrible in any sort of like somewhat difficult elements. Like if it's a little windy, a little rainy, he's very particular about all that.
Oh, I don't disagree with you on that, but I just think the bad weather helps the defense, though.
It helps the defense, but you have to look at the other side of the coin, which is how much worse it makes Zach Wilson.
That's fair.
Like,
it's fair. Run the Wildcat.
Direct snap.
It can't hurt.
Or rainy, Zach Wilson is hardly going to throw, most likely.
And
that's a good point.
It's better off. I'm gonna have to play conservative, guys. I'm gonna take the Jets plus the points. I'll take the Bills to win, but give me the Jets plus 7 here. It's almost by default because I can't trust either team, and I want to lean towards the Jets because of their history against Buffalo, especially as of late. But the Jets' offense has been so atrocious. The easy thing is to blame Zach Wilson. If you watch these games, it's not just Zach Wilson. It's a bunch of things.
I don't blame Zach.
But it's the easy thing to do is for Jet fans to call up sports radio and complain that it's Zach Wilson. But it's more.
What about the 3 penalties they committed outside the red zone?
There we go. See, offensive line, the penalties. You must have had a coronary last Sunday with all that happened.
They were in the end zone 3 times. 3 times.
I DVR'd that game and fell asleep before it even started because even me, not as a Jet fan watching that game, would have gone ballistic over that.
And CJ Uzomah committing that stupid penalty in the end zone. Are you kidding me?
It's not been good. I thought that was going to be a great addition there. But that's.
I forgot to mention the Jets' penalties. How horrible that's been. I should have
in the red zone. Yeah,
in the red zone.
But the Jets defense can get to Josh Allen and give him some problems too. And I don't think the Joe Brady boost is going to happen in this game. I think they win, but this is going to be a very ugly matchup here. So I'm going to take Buffalo to win. I'll grab the touchdown with the Jets, though, keep it inside that number there at Orchard Park. Zan, what do you have?
This game just feels like a crapshoot, and truly, I just feel like in so many different ways these teams are going in opposite directions. And with the way the Bills played last week and the way they just horrendously blew that game to the Broncos, it makes me want to pick against them. But I'm going to be a little generous and say the Bills win this game, but the Jets covered the spread. I just think the Bills against the spread are bad news, and no matter who the Bills play, they just can't seem to find any way to cover, and they won't this week. These two teams are just so hit or miss right now. It's not even funny. And this might be a hot take, but don't be surprised if whoever loses this game is gonna eventually be eliminated from the playoff picture in the next few weeks.
That's not a surprise.
That's how big this game feels, and the Broncos upsetting the Bills on Monday night further proved that for me. So I like the Bills to win with the Jets to cover the spread. That's what I think.
Buffalo's got a brutal schedule after this game too, which doesn't help them either.
Well, so do the Jets.
Yeah, and the Jets have really put themselves in a hole here. Especially last week was not a good week for them. Ben Kruse, what do you have?
I'm going to take the Jets, with the points, but I think the Bills will find a way to win. It's not going to be a great one, especially if it's going to be bad weather. But they'll find a way to just kind of squeak it out like they have been in a lot of these wins that they've had. They haven't been comfortable for the Bills specifically all season outside of that game against Miami. and I think it continues on Sunday. They'll find a way to get a much-needed win, but it won't be a win specifically that can kind of tell me, oh, they're back. It'll be essentially a win where they'll find a way because the quarterback for the Jets, of course, wouldn't be able to balance specifically the defense that the Jets have been able to pull the last couple of weeks.
There we go. All right, let's do a rapid pick here. Nick D, it's Andrew Catalan, Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, and AJ Ross on CBS as your Seattle Seahawks take on, I say your Seattle Seahawks, I love doing that. Geno Smith and the Seahawks against what looks like Matt Stafford and the Rams at SoFi Stadium, and the Seahawks are a point favorite.
I don't think you really have to ask where I'm going with this. I think it's pretty obvious. I'm taking the Rams minus +1. Now that with Stafford being back, I don't trust the Seahawks at all. I think this feels like an easy. I don't know. I mean, I'm not denying that the Rams have been disappointing, but I think they're still a better team than Seattle, at least if they're playing at home. Definitely, I have to go with the Rams.
Yeah, Nick D, it's simple. When Matt Stafford plays, this team is good. When he doesn't, this team is bad. And he's back, and I think that elevates them. And even though the Rams are 3-6, they're being counted out, but they have 4 to 5 very favorable games left on their schedule. So this is a big one for them. I think they get this done. The Matt Stafford return boost helps here. Give me the Rams at SoFi. Zan?
Yeah, I like the Rams here too. Seattle didn't really impress me. You could argue that the Commanders probably should have won the game last week, and they didn't. And I think Seattle just simply played onto their competition. And I think, as you guys have alluded to already, Matt Stafford being back is huge. So give me the Rams to cover and win the game too.
Yeah, the Geno Smith game-winning drive. Loves to see those. What about you there, Ben?
I'm going to go with the Rams at +1. I know Seattle, of course, has had their big-time, wins the last couple of weeks here, but I think that with Matt Stafford back, having that week off last week, of course, I think helps a lot. I don't think he has been 100% healthy, but I think Cooper Kupp, watch out for Cooper Kupp to have a breakout one because he hasn't really been in full-on self all season, and this just kind of feels to me like a Cooper Kupp breakout game, especially if Puka Nacua is on the injury report. I feel like Matt Stafford's going to try to feed him a lot more on this one. And I think the Rams will find a way to stop Geno later on in this game. So give me the Rams here at +1.
And Nick?
Yeah, I think I'm on that same boat too. When Stafford plays, this team rolls. When Stafford doesn't play, it looks like a complete mess of a team. I was on the Seahawks trade for a long time with Geno, but I don't know. Geno hasn't looked great as of lately. But like you said, when Stafford plays, this team wins. So I'm going to take the Rams +1.
Oh, speaking of one Tom Albano, he decided to give us a little bit of a gift for maybe the hottest team in the National Football League right now.
Oh, God, I can't wait.
Country, Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, let's ride.
What was that said bye-bye Dorsey?
It said bye-bye Dorsey, yes.
What is that? Bills Mafia is mad?
Yes, it said Bills Mafia is mad and bye-bye Dorsey.
We haven't had a Broncos country let's ride with a 3-game winning streak, though, for Denver. It's usually the 3-game losing streak. It's the 70-point giving up to the Dolphins. This is a new animal here. Well, let's see if they make it
taking it personally, I guess.
What's that, Ben?
I said they've been taking this meme, I guess, personally.
I know they gave us what did they say F us last week?
Yes, I said F this. Yes,
when they do this one, they're going to flip the bird on us. Well, let's find out. Zan, on Sunday Night Football on NBC, we've got Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark as Josh Dobbs and the Vikings take on Russell Wilson and the Broncos, and it's the Broncos who are a 2-point favorite at Empower Field at Mile High.
Must watch TV. Give me the Broncos. The Broncos to cover the spread and win. I just think there's something about this team where they're clicking at the right time. And no disrespect to Josh Dobbs and the Vikings, but there's something about this late game magic in Denver for the last month that seems to be contagious. So I think it continues.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Denver here. I know obviously the Vikings have been a 4 or 5 game winning streak. But playing in Denver on Sunday Night Football, just kind of feels like Josh Dobbs is due for a letdown. Russell Wilson, guys, he's only thrown 400 receptions, and yeah, you could say, well, he hasn't been, of course, amazing this year, but Russell Wilson's done a good enough job as of late to protect the football, and yeah, he's not throwing for a lot of passing yards, but he's getting out to his guys. Their defense, of course, is doing fairly well as of late, ever since that 70 point debacle that they had around the season. Yeah, give me Denver here to take the -2.
What about you, Nick Morgasen?
There's one phrase I was telling Johnny about this on ETV this week also. Russell Wilson actually decided to beat the zone this past week and ran for the first down quite a bit. He was not doing that. Defenses were leaving him open right in the middle of the field to take the first downs. The reason they won the game last week is partially because he kept taking the free first downs that were out there because they were playing zone. Now, obviously, the unfortunate of the 12 men on the field and getting a second chance to kick, obviously winning. But I just think they're playing better football, finally. Sean Payton's finally getting this team to play. And I think the Broncos have the hot hand. So, yes, Broncos country. Taking them.
Country, let's ride. All
Let's
right,
ride.
Nick D.
Well, I will say, I think both of these teams are in sort of similar positions. They're both hot. They're both kind of hot right now. I mean, the Broncos, they started off really bad. The Vikings overall have better personnel. You could argue either. I mean, for you saying the Vikings are due for a letdown. I mean, you kind of say the same thing about Denver. I mean, you could
I agree with that.
You just easily argue they're due for a letdown too. I don't know. I'm going with the Vikings. Something tells me, you know what? Mainly because they have much better. They have a much better roster around Dobbs than the Broncos do right now. And I mean, the Broncos were able to like pull these games out and win. I still think the Vikings overall are a better team. So I'm just going with the Vikings.
It said some streak's going to have to end here. Is Josh Dobbs Cinderella? Can Josh Dobbs Cinderella story continue? Will one of the hottest teams in the league in Broncos country, let's ride, continue to ride? Both teams have been doing this with their defense as of late. I thought it was very impressive what the Vikings did last week there. Now, the one thing I've got a concern is that Josh Dobbs is going to now be playing in an outdoor environment here in Denver. That would be my only concern. But, in such a close game like this, originally this line was at 2.5, and I think you see now the public's going to Minnesota. I think Nick D is right, though. I trust Minnesota a little bit more. I know Denver's done this, and they've beaten good teams along the way on this winning streak, whether it was the Chiefs, whether it was the Bills. But I think Minnesota still has a little bit better, more complete roster. So I'm getting 2 points in this one. I'm gonna take the Vikings as well here over the Broncos. That's what I'm gonna do. And let me look at Tom real quick here. Tom's got a full upset special, as well. I guess it is gonna be an upset since it's only a 2-point spread. So it's gonna be a split call here there at Empower Field at Mile High. All right, guys. This is the game of the week, one of the games of the year, a rematch of the Super Bowl. Ben Kruse, we got Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Lisa Salters on Monday Night Football on ESPN. It is Jalen Hurts and the Eagles and Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And at Arrowhead, the Chiefs a field goal favorite.
Yeah. If it was at 7, I would probably consider the Eagles to take the points. But I don't know. I feel like the Eagles, they've been playing really good football. The Chiefs, of course, are coming off of a bye. And also, too, guys, that Taylor Swift will be back in attendance and be visiting with the Kelseys. So I think that'll also mean, too, that Travis Kelce is due for an absolute monster game in this one. I think that the Eagles will keep it close for about 3 quarters. And I think the Chiefs will win by 10 points. I'm going to go 37 to 27.
Ooh, wow.
So give me the Chiefs to take the cover.
Nick Morgasen, what do you have here?
Yeah, I'm going the complete opposite of Ben. Actually, I like the Eagles in this game. I'm actually taking them +3. Why are we disrespecting the Eagles here? I mean, they are the best team in the NFL. I understand it's Patrick Mahomes. I understand it's the Chiefs, and it's on the road. Jalen Hurts is up there, probably top 3 quarterbacks in the league, or probably even the best quarterback in the league in the MVP discussion. So I think this is disrespectful to the Eagles. +3, the Eagles.
All right, Nick D, what do you got?
Well, I think this is very close, and I'm a little bit torn. Both these teams are phenomenal. If it was 2.5, definitely, like, it's one of those things where it's like, if it's 3.5, I'll go Eagles. 2.5, I'll go Chiefs. But I will say, I do think the Chiefs are going to be able to pull this off. I mean, something tells me they're going to end up winning by exactly 3, and we're all going to lose. But if anything, I would take the Chiefs mainly for a few things. One is they have a better quarterback, undeniable, and the better coach. And I mean, both are very good. I'm not denying that in both cases, both are good, but they do have a better quarterback. They do have a better coach, and they have covered a spread like this playing at home. They're 3-1 at home this year. One of that, and the past 2 times they played teams that were, that were closest to the Eagles. It was the Dolphins. They won by 7, and at home they beat the Chargers by 14. So I don't think a 3-point spread for the Chiefs right now, based on the way they've been playing, is in any way insurmountable. But ultimately, it's the quarterback play and the coaching that I think will do it for the Chiefs.
Yeah. He's taking the money. I think this was at 2.5, and just before we recorded today, it moved up to 3. I know on Wolf Spreads it's at 2.5. Yeah, Nick D, I'm going to meet that. I'm going to take it a step further here. I'm taking the team with the better coach, the better quarterback, and the better defense. And I think that's the one thing. These 2 teams are actually, for the most part, pretty similar to what they were like in their Super Bowl matchup last year. The only difference is that Kansas City is actually better defensively than they were last year, which actually can be pretty scary. Mahomes hasn't had to do that much because I think the defense is doing it. It's almost even their best unit this year, which is not typical of the Kansas City Chiefs. But whenever you have any doubt here, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes and company always seem to find a way, figure it out, no matter how grim the situation may look. And I think this actually is the game that Mahomes and the offense get it right. So
hold the phone on that one. Hold the phone on that one. The spread just updated. It's 2.5.
Well, when I put it in there, though,
2.5. Okay, then we have to change it. Now I feel even better. 2.5.
How do you want to do it?
It's Chiefs 2.5.
Well, so I don't care 2.5 or 3. I mean, it is a kind of a bigger deal.
Well, no, but it does matter though, because
it does matter. You're right, because if it's 3 and we push out of all that, yeah.
And by the way, that means now that it's 2.5 in my pick'em, I took the Eagles plus 3.5. That means I can win both sides. I could win this, I could win on the show, and I could win in my pick'em.
Well, yeah, 2.5. I mean, I feel it much better. I'm taking the Chiefs. Yeah, I'm taking the team with the better offense, the better quarterback, the better head coach, and the better defense in this matchup.
Better defense.
Yeah, Nick, the Chiefs' defense is better than the Eagles this year.
Definitely.
It is. That's what I think. This is the get right game, and any doubt that he had about Kansas City, I think gets erased after this game. So give me
game versus the Eagles.
What I'm saying is the game that you don't have any question or any doubt with Kansas City, because there's been some question marks with Kansas City this year. There's been questions about their offense. There hasn't been any questions about their defense, because they're doing it differently this year. They're winning low-scoring games. They're used to playing shootout football. This year,
I'll give you that. That's true.
That's what I'm saying. And it's not. And after this game, I think there's not going to be much doubt left in them. So I'm gonna take the Chiefs here to win on Monday night. Zan?
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs too. The Arrowhead home field advantage is too much. And even though Jalen Hurts has been playing lights out, this is one of those games. Big spot, 8 lights, big stage, Monday Night Football. The whole country and arguably the whole world watching. I don't see how Patrick Mahomes has a letdown game, and I don't know if this is factual or not, but I'm going to assume this to be true, and it probably will be true. But at the time of the game is that I think this is a chance to be one of the most watched Monday Night Football games in NFL history, for the sole reason that this is a Super Bowl rematch and a potential Super Bowl preview. So I can hardly wait to watch this game and to see how it all unfolds. Because it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I think you're right. This definitely could be the highest rated game, especially since ESPN got the Monday night package. I know their numbers have been tremendous this year. They're setting records, it seems like, almost every week, but this one will definitely.
And also the game is on ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN Deportes, ABC, and in plus. You want to talk about blockbuster? That's as blockbuster as it could possibly get.
They're almost doing like what you would see like in college football with a national championship or one of those big bowl games and having
a mega cast.
Speaking of that, not only are they going to have it, but also the Empty the Bench Podcast Network is going to have a live stream presented by Wolf Spreads. Nick, when are you guys starting this on Monday?
Yeah, so the game is at 8:15. It's usually 15 minutes before, so 8 p.m. Eastern. Most of us will be there. So I'm
not. I'm sorry, guys.
But we'll have a lot of people there to watch the game and enjoy the game. So it's not your X's and O's type game. It's kind of like a Manning cast, but with a lot of stupid jokes and puns involved. So
not quite the same audience as the Manning cast.
I wish. But yeah, it's basically come have fun and watch us make jokes. It's like doing stand-up.
So there you go. So Monday night, 8 o'clock here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. All right, guys, real quick before we get out of here, let's put our Wolf Spread plays here for Week 11. So you know the deal, 2,000 fantasy dollars we all get. We have to use at least 1,500. We have to make at least 3 plays here. This is a nice friendly competition amongst all of us. We all had a great week last week. Let's see what we could do. Just like last week, I'm going with 8 picks, a couple of spreads, a couple of over-unders here for week number 11. Man, it's crazy. Week 11 already. All right. So my plays, I'm taking the Dolphins minus the 13.5. Of course, if I'm bench locking them, I've got to take them. They're at home. They're playing the Raiders, not a great team. So that's what we're going to do. I'm taking the over in the Giant Commander game. You know, it's at 37. I think that there'll be some points scored, probably more by the Commanders, but that's what I'm going to do there. I'm taking the Lions laying the 7.5 against the Bears. The fact that number has come down to 7.5, I think helps that. I'm taking the Chargers laying the 3 over the Packers. I'm taking the under in the Steeler-Brown game. It's at 33. I think it's less than that. I think defenses play a big role in this one. I think the uncertainty of Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Kenny Pickett, I think is also still a question mark in that one. That's why I think you should be seeing more running instead of passing in that one. But still, I think the defenses, I mean, do you see 5 touchdowns being scored in that game? I don't. That's why I will take the under. I've got the over in the Bucs 49ers game, 41.5. I think there'll be some points scored. That's why, even though plus 12, that's why I think 12 is too many points to lay with San Francisco. I'm going to take the over. I'm taking the Vikings they're getting 2.5 on Wolf Spreads. I'm going to take them plus 2.5. And the Chiefs are laying 2.5 on Wolf Spreads. I will take that on Monday night. Those are the plays for week 11. Zan, and by the way, those are all $250 wagers. I went 7 out of 8 last week for them. So let's see that's what I'm going to go with here. Zan?
All right. Well, leading into Wolves as for this week, going into this week, I have a total of $917 in total fantasy profit. Let's see if I can keep it going and have another top 5 finishes. It was the first week that I did not place in first. So let's see if I can bounce back. First pick, I've got Pittsburgh wagering 500 to win 435 on the cover there. I get the Chargers. It's covered in their game against the Packers. That's also a $500 play. I've got at Dallas to cover minus 10.5. That's also a $500 play. I've got at the Jets to cover plus 7 and 250 to win 227. And I have the Chiefs to cover on Monday night against the Eagles. That is also 250 to win 217. Well, those are my Wolf Spread plays for week 11.
Ben?
Yeah, so for me, I picked the Ravens at 3.5 for the spread. I'm a little ballsy. Unfortunately, now Joe Burrow is hurt, unfortunately, so hopefully that he'll be okay. This one. I picked the Dolphins money line. I feel pretty good about that one right now. The Raiders, of course, haven't really shown anything to me about they're going to compete in this one. And then I picked the Commanders under 37.
You're taking the under in the Giant Commander game. Okay, Nick Morgasen?
Mm-hmm. All right, so looking at my picks, I had the Lions minus 7.5 for 250. I had the Cowboys minus 10.5. That was one of the games I was looking at locking, but I stayed away from it for 250. Then my lock, the 49ers, minus 11.5 at 500. I'm obviously going to put more on the lock. Bills. Oh, I think I put this in. I had the Bills Jets game under 39.5. also for 250. And then obviously I have the Jets +7 winning outright 250.
Sure.
Then I have the Broncos 250 and for covering 2.5, and the Eagles +2.5 250.
Okay, and what's nice with the Bucks one is you're getting less than half. You're getting an extra half a point in that game too. And Nick D, what do you have?
All right, so I got the Cardinals +4.5, the Lions -7.5, the Chargers -3, Bucks +11.5, and the Rams +1.
All right, and there we go. And that'll be our plays for Week 11 presented by Wolf Spreads. Well, yes, Nick.
We have one more thing. I didn't say it, but I would like to say this also now that we have it. Moving the goalposts with Nick DiMartino and Liam Barwick. First episode is recorded. It will be released later today, November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you tune in for episode number 1.
Congratulations there, Nick D.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so Nick D will be doing a little doubleheader here on Fridays. So that'll put a bow on Week 11 here of Football Friday presented by Wolf Spreads. Just also, since we're doing the shameless plugs, I'll throw some out there too for next week. Number 1, Monty Moment next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Zan and I will be on big college football week next week, rivalry week, where we'll step one step closer to conference championship week. Another step closer in the college football playoff. I think we'll have some separation there coming up next week. So Zan and I will be on Wednesday. That'll drop at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. We will all be back for Football Friday, week number 12 at a special time. That'll be on Thanksgiving morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. So make sure you have your notifications set and, follow us on social media at ETB Network, at Game On ETB, also all of our personal handles down there and our show handles, and we will remind you about that. So again, next week, Thanksgiving morning, while you're making your food, you're getting that turkey in the oven and stuff, getting you ready. You can have the Thanksgiving Day parade on the TV on mute. You have us on, getting you ready for a big football full 16-game slate on Thanksgiving Day. So we'll be on 9 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning for week 12 of Football Friday, and then we'll be back at our regular slot after that. So that's what's going on there. Of course, make sure to like us. Make sure to, first off, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Our subscriber count is growing. We're over 620 and growing strong. If you like our Football Fridays, leave us a like. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. And again, make sure you click that notification bell so you know when all of our stuff is going to be coming out. You can check out Nick, of course, Zan, and Nick D's now new show. Check me on the Monty Moments as well. And, of course, this. Make sure to also check us out at etbpodcast.com so you can get more information about our network. Also, blog posts, so much more happening on there. And, of course, if you cannot watch us on YouTube, make sure to listen to us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We are there for you. So, for Nick Morgasen, Nick DiMartino, Ben Kruse, Zain Bando, and also Paul Lombardi and Tom Albano, I'm Johnny Montalbano. Everybody have yourselves a great weekend, and we will catch you all again next week.
See you guys, man.